Hello, welcome my presentation, which is entitled as a methodology to facilitate PPP project selection decisions. My name is Emre Akçay. I am faculty member in Civil Engineering Department of Atılım University. Before starting my presentation, I would like to give brief outline. My presentation involves three main parts. In the first part, I will make brief introduction. In the second part, I will describe the research method, and in the last part, I will talk about my case study. So, what is PPP? Public-private partnerships are contractual agreements between a public agency and a private consortium for financing, designing, constructing, and operating large infrastructure facilities for a concession period. It is a project delivery system where public agencies get benefit from private sector's financing resources and operations expertise in order to fulfill public needs. The PPP system is especially useful in developing countries where governments cannot finance large infrastructure projects due to lack of funds. The PPP model was first introduced to Turkey in the early 1980s to solve energy crisis. Turkey, as a developing country, applied this model more than 139 billion worth of PPP projects in different sectors. In these two figures, you can find breakdown of the PPP contracts in Turkey. First figure shows breakdown of the PPP contracts according to their project cost. On the other hand, second figure shows breakdown of PPP contracts according to their project numbers. So, what is the objective of this research? There are several PPP-based investment opportunities for the investors. However, it is a difficult task to select the most suitable investment as it involves more complex structure compared to the traditional project selection. PPP project is more complicated as it involves not only design and construction stage but also the operation stage. As the selection process is performed with respect to several criteria, it is always challenging for decision makers to select the best alternative. So, this research offers a methodological approach that assists the decision makers to select the best PPP project among possible alternatives. So, in this research, the research procedure includes three main steps. In the first step, criteria to select the best PPP project was identified. In the second step, an AHP-based approach was developed. And in the last step, the proposed approach was tested by using a case study. So, the first step is identifying criteria to select the best PPP project. This step involves two stages. In the first stage, literature studies associated with critical success factors and key performance indicators were conducted to create a potential criteria list to select the best PPP project among possible alternatives. In this stage, 16 potential selection criteria were identified. The next stage is finalizing the potential criteria list by administering a questionnaire survey. The questionnaire, which was created using potential criteria list, was carried out with 10 experts from 4 different investment companies. It should be noted that each expert has experience in PPP projects more than 10 years. The questionnaire requested experts to finalize the potential criteria list. In this slide, you can find the selection criteria for PPP projects. The selection criteria are complexity of the project, credit rating of the country, scope of the project, political stability, political support, laws and regulations, experience in different types of PPP project in the same country, economic feasibility of the project, experience in similar type of PPP projects in the different countries, experience in similar types of PPP projects in the same country. And the next step is developing an analytic hierarchical process-based approach, AHP, which was proposed by Sati in 1976, is one of the powerful multi-criteria decision-making method that develops priorities for criteria to compare the alternatives. In this method, first step is to construct the hierarchical structure of the problem. For this purpose, the selection criteria for PPP projects were clustered and the hierarchical structure was constructed. After that, pairwise comparisons need to be performed for the same level elements with respect to control criteria to construct a comparison matrix. These comparisons were performed by using the fundamental scale proposed by Sati. At this stage, a workshop was conducted with 10 experts to understand decision makers' priorities. And also the consistency ratio of each matrix can be used whether the pairwise comparisons are consistent or not. After the comparison matrices were filled up, a weighting process is performed to obtain overall weight for each alternative. Figure provides the overall priority of each selection criteria for PPP projects. The proposed approach finds the attractiveness of each PPP project by identifying the total rating of the project. In order to find the total rating of the project, a decision maker should multiply the overall weight of criteria with its rating for each selection criteria and add them up. And also it is worth noting that the rating of each selection criteria should be determined by an expert team from an investment company. And the next step is testing the approach through a case study. In order to test the proposed approach, 3 real PPP project alternatives were chosen from different countries. First project is healthcare project located in one of the European Union country. Second one is transport project located in one of the Middle Eastern country. And the last one is energy project located in one of the African country. All projects will be undertaken by using public-private partnership. So, in this slide, you can find the attractiveness ratings for each project. In this table, first column shows the selection criteria for PPP projects. The second column shows the overall weight for each selection criteria. It was found by using analytic hierarchical process. And also, in order to calculate the attractiveness of each project, an expert team were identified the rating for each selection criteria with the help of their knowledge and experience. After that, by multiplying rating and overall weight value for each selection criteria, total ratings were found, and by adding all total ratings, attractiveness of each project were identified, and the results were presented to the expert team. They found the results reasonable. So in conclusion, the primary contribution of this research include identification of selection criteria for PPP projects and determination of the priority of each selection criteria. And finally, it should be noted that the proposed model involves a major shortcoming, which is about the subjectivity of selection factors. As the number of relationships among the selection factor increases, the number and complexity of comparison matrices increase, risking the consistency of ratings. These matrices are filled out as a result of brainstorming session with experts, so it is practically very difficult to fill out these complex matrices with consensus. Further research could focus on ways to decrease the subjectivity and enhance consistency of ratings within analytic hierarchical process models. Thank you for listening to my presentation. If you have any question, you can send me an email.